Welcome back, guys. So in this video, we're going to go through my first crypto trading program that helped me monitor where all of the large influx of money was going. Just to break it down pretty simply, if a large amount of money is going into one crypto project, that is a crypto project you should be buying, because crypto of all markets are manipulated by large influxes of money. Meaning if a millionaire, billionaire buys a crypto, that is the crypto you're supposed to be looking at. Crypto market 100% runs off of money, and this program will show you where that money is going. All right, so all you have to do is sit back, get your computer up, get your favorite IDE up, and get ready to write some Python code. Now, if you do have a program ideal, or if you have a bot ideal that you want to work with our team on, check the description below. Also, if you want to see our private selection of bots, check the description below as well too. But sit back and get ready to write some code. Peace.
All right, guys, welcome back. Let us build a whale database, a crypto whale database, as specified through the links that I put on the Discord. Now, hopefully you guys downloaded most of those and are ready and set to get started. So the first thing we need to do is install Whale Alert. They actually have a library for Python. I already put it there. So it's pip install Whale Alert. Additionally, after you do that, you need to go to Whale Alert API. The website I actually linked it to. Click sign up here. I already have an account, so it's going to kind of take me through it a little bit. This is a free account, but you have like a certain limit. You have a limit of 10 calls per minute, so be very mindful of that. And once you do that and verify your email, you just create a new API key, which will show right here. Don't worry, I'm showing my API key, but I'm gonna delete this as soon as this video is over. So do not use my API key, create your own. It's not gonna work even if you do use it, because I'm gonna delete it. So it is what it is. All right, so what we're gonna do now, pip install Whale Alert, just like we see here. And make sure it says requirements are satisfied. Now, if you do not use Jupyter Notebook, you can use Terminal or Command Prompt, depending on if you have a Windows or Mac system. Both work, doesn't really matter. You can use it in Jupyter Notebook, or you can use it on Terminal or Command Prompt, doesn't matter. And if you have PyCharm or VS Code, they already have a terminal integrated into them. So you can basically put this syntax into that terminal as well too. Completely up to you. You want to use it directly through Terminal Command Prompt, you can do it. Or if you're using the terminal that's integrated in PyCharm or VS Code or whatever IDE you're using, you could do that as well too. Or for Jupyter Notebook, you could just input it into one of these cells. It's completely up to you. All right, now here's some things that I did import. I imported SQLite 3 because that's what we're going to be using to create the database. Pandas, as you know, Pandas is the king of data engineering, king of data science, the king of creating data frames. You will always use Pandas. Just get used to it, especially if you want to build trading algorithms. That's your bread and butter. This is a special syntax for Whale Alert. Now, you don't have to actually import it as WA. I just did that to make it easier to actually bring about later. I imported time because you're going to see later on that it just makes right here, it just makes like creating a time integer a lot easier. Again, you don't have to, but for me, it makes it easy. So I would suggest it. I would highly suggest it. All right. Now, once you imported all of these different libraries, first thing I would do is check the Whale Alert API connection. You'd run this syntax here. It is on the website. If you go to Whale Alerts and go to their documentation, I'll show you right now. This is the status endpoint, and it has a little bit of an example here. This is what I basically copied, and I just inputted my API key. Now, if you don't remember your API key, I'm going to show you. When you sign up for an account, you create a new API key. So what you do is you copy your API key. Do not use mine, use yours, and basically input it where it says API key. Just input it here. This is the same API key you just saw. And you would run this just to make sure that your connection works. And don't worry about the syntax error. Just click on this link here and it will tell you if it's working or not. As you can see, it says results, it's success. So don't worry about that error you're going to see. As long as you click on the link and it says result is success, that means that you are connected. You're successfully connected the API to whatever program you're building. So this is good. All right, so don't worry about syntax error. Don't worry about it. All right. Positional argument, you have to actually create this. So if you don't use WA, you can just put whale, or you could just put whale alert, sorry. Just put whale alert and then put 2 parentheses and then make it equal whale. This is just so that we can initiate the self module. It's gonna be annoying if you don't do this. This is needed. Trust me, just do it. It's needed. I don't want to go into further discussion of why, because that's advanced Python. But yeah, just make sure you actually have a syntax like this already here. As soon as you finish up everything here, you can actually even have it sooner than that as well too. Now, parameters for the API. Now, as you can see here, I basically was pulling from, I was using a get transactions from the API. So if you go back to the documentation here, all right, there is a get transaction, so a transactions module, right? So this is the transaction module. What you need is, you need these. You need the start date that you want to actually get the transaction for. So we're getting a list of transactions with the get transactions request. So we need a start date, we need a cursor, we need a minimum value, a limit, and currency. So what I was doing here was I actually was basically creating a variable with all of the information that I wanted to add into the transaction module. That way I can just get specific transactions. So start time, this is where I put int time.time minus 3. I don't know why I put 3,600. You could put just 600. It's just a time reference. So if you just put 600, it's actually going to be down to the last couple of minutes. But yeah, so this is, don't let it confuse you. Just use the same syntax that I'm using here. It's just going to be down to the last minute. All right. The API key, again, is the API key that you got from Whale Alert. You just input it here. Just make sure you put it in parentheses because this will be considered a string value. Just make sure you do that. Transaction count limit, meaning how many transactions do you want to actually pull from Whale Alerts? Even though it says 10, the way programming works is the last number that you put is actually not going to be included. So it's actually only going to show 9 transactions. So if you wanted 10, you would actually have to put 11 there. I didn't use currency and min value because we have such a small amount, it's going to be just 9 transactions. I was like, you know what, I don't really need this, so you can actually take these out. And the reason why min value I didn't actually input in as well too is because Whale Alert only collects, basically they only collect like when the value of the actual transaction is $100,000. So I don't need to specify a min value because they're only focusing on big transaction values anyway, because these are just for whales. So I don't need to specify that. So you can actually take that out. All right. Now, this is the syntax you're going to use. So you'll use whale.getTransaction. That is a module within the Whale Alerts library. And it just needs these references, just like how I showed you here. It needs these references inside of it. Even in this example here, I showed you it needs like these type of references, right? So I just put the start time, which again, since I already created a variable for it, it's just going to be used from there. API key, I just made it equal API key. I didn't need to, but just to make it super clear. And the limit, and this is just the transaction amount limit. So it's only going to give me 9 transactions. All right. And then I put that into a variable so I can call it on later and I don't have to worry about it. All right. And let me create another thing. So I want to show you what the input of this, I put it as raw because this is pretty much a raw tuple. It's not really legible. As you can see, look at this. This is just unordered data. So it's true. It's just returning a Boolean value of true. Booleans are true and false. So true meaning that this actually did work. Thank you. I know it's going to work. And then the transactions are returned as a tuple. So the transaction first blockchain was Tron. The symbol for the actual crypto is USDT. The transaction type was a transfer, and the address is this wallet address here, and it was sent to this wallet address here. And timestamp is actually in Unix. Don't really worry about it because again, we put a specific time here, so don't worry about it. If you were just using the API directly, you would have to use Unix, but we're not doing that. We're skipping past all that BS. And this is just transaction count 1 because we have, remember, just 9 transactions. So there's going to be 9 other ones here too. So this is the raw string of data. We got to clean it up. And that's why I created this new variable, which actually uses, is basically using a index value of the raw data. So this will be considered at the index 0. So all indexes start from the number 0. In programming, we don't start from 1, we start from 0. Basically, I wanted to get rid of this true value because it's not a part of this information or transaction value. So to do that, I basically said, I want the raw value starting at 1. So this would be considered 0, and then the rest of this will be considered 1. So I basically said, get rid of true for the most part. Start from 1, which will be the actual transaction. So then I put that in transactions because now I don't want to see true. So I'm going to show you what the output of that is, just so you can actually see it. So let's run that. As you can see, true is now gone. It's just showing me the transactions now, which is good. That's what we need. We don't need the true value. I already understand it works. Get that out of here. Now we're going to create the data frame, just like before with the Nancy Pelosi one, if you remember that. Same thing. You do pd.dataframe. That is a module within the pandas data frame. So you remember we imported pandas up here as pd. So the module to create a data frame is data frame. So with a capital D and capital F. So pd.dataframe. And now we're dumping this cleaned up transactions value into the data frame. And then we're creating a new variable out of this called df. And now let's see what df looks like. df. Run. And here we go. Look at that. Isn't that so much better? Wow, that's actually a lot better. That's actually really a lot better. Oh, all right. Sorry, I just got a little mesmerized. And what I want to do here is, okay, so one thing you notice, you're going to probably see here, where is it? Oh, crap. 1 second. Let me do this again. Run. And because I actually ran this already. So now let me do this again. All right, cool. Sorry, it was cleaned up before because I actually, as you see, I'm going to be cleaning it up. So it was already cleaned up. So now it's dirty again. As you can see here, you see we got address equal. So this is basically a dictionary value, and it's not showing the address, the crypto wallet address specifically. It's showing address, and then it's showing some other syntax, including the actual address. So I want to get rid of that. I just wanted to show the address value, which is this value here. I just wanted to show this. I don't want to show all this other bullshit. That's disgusting. So basically, I have to figure out how to access this address value. So as you can see, it's in the column form. So I used the actual data frame, and I said go to, from. df go to from. And remember, it's the first value I want to get rid of. I don't want to see this. So the first value, again, it's not 1, it's 0. So I'm saying go to column from, go to the 0 entry in this column. So every 0 entry is going to be address, and that value is going to be called address, right? All right. And then from there, what I wanted to do is I wanted it to actually be the actual value of from. So let me kind of like show you what the actual input of that from is. So I'm basically getting rid of this, and I'm actually saving it into the value of from. So again, I'm saying df.from, go to here, and the 0th value, which is again address, which is again, I'm specifying address here. I want it to just equal from. So I just want the rest of it to show as from. So I'll just do df. Let me run this and you'll see. And run this now. As you can see, boom, it took it off. It took off the actual address from this actual column. So now it's just showing me the actual, it's showing me the actual address, wallet address that we wanted. And you're basically going to be doing that here as well too. And you're going to be doing it for the to value. So the address that it's being sent to, same problem here too. All right. So basically, we're just saying go to the from and go to where the address value and then have that equal from instead of this whole syntax here. I want to specify that again, just in case that didn't make sense. So we're saying go to from, go to the first value in from, which is the address, and see what the value of it is, which is again the actual address, crypto wallet address, and have that equal the column from. And that's the same thing we're doing for two. As you can see, two is also doing the same thing too. So we're basically taking the same syntax and we're dropping it down here and having that value equal to 2. Actually, I don't know why it's looking so dusty like this. What the hell? I think I put it twice. And that's basically the same syntax here as well too. All right, so run this and let's just see the output now. DF. Now, if you're not using Jupyter Notebook, also, I must mention that you have to use the print statement. So you would have to do print and this. So if you're using PyCharm or VS Code, you would have to do print. But since I'm using Jupyter Notebook, I don't have to use the syntax. But yeah, if you're using PyCharm or anything other than Jupyter Notebook, you would have to use the print statement. So for all of these, you would have to use the print statement. Same thing with raw, you would have to use the print statement. This is specifically for Jupyter Notebook. And other platforms like Jupyter Notebook, all right? So then I'll just keep it at DF. All right. As you can see, the from and the to, all we're seeing is just the address, which is exactly how we wanted. We didn't want to see all this extra syntax. We just want the address. We just want the crypto wallet address, all right? Now, this is optional because there is a rate limit, as I've shown you here. Let's go and go back. For this API, there's a rate limit, meaning because you're not paying, you have to pay for more of usage. So what a rate limit means is that you can only access so much data from this API before they shut it off. And you have to wait for another minute or so, unless you pay for the access for unlimited access to this API. I'm not trying to spend any money. You're not trying to spend any money. So that's why I'm not even going to deal with that. So the way I'm getting around that is I'm just taking this data, because every time we use DF, we're actually basically pulling from the API. So instead, to kind of save the time, so I don't have to keep like accessing the API, I'm just going to do df.toCSV, which is a pandas module, which allows you to dump this whole data frame into a CSV, and I'm calling it whale1.csv. I'm doing that so that I can just dump this data in here. And then as you see, I'm pulling that data back out. So now I'm not calling. So when I pull it back out, I'm not calling from the API anymore. So the API is not I'm not bothering the API. I'm not hitting any limits with them. I'm dumping it into a file, and then I'm just using the file data, which is again, this data frame that we have here that we dumped in there. So I'm no longer using the API at this point. You can do that, or you don't have to do it. It's optional for you. Again, I don't want to hit the rate limit, so that's why I'm doing it, all right? And now I'm just gonna be, I created a new data frame for it. I created a new data frame variable called CDF, so CSVDF. It could be whatever. You can call these variables anything you want. I use this just so I don't mistake it for the first data frame, which we did here. And as you can see, pretty much the same values are returned here, which is exactly what I wanted, all right? Now we're gonna dump this into a SQL data frame. All right, and that's where we're going to use SQLite. I gave you the documentation for that too. Now, if you want to get into data, as well as getting into algo trading on a serious level, or even programming serious level, every programmer should know how to build a database, whether it be relational or non-relational. I'm not going to be talking about that here, because for this, with data, we have to always use relational. So it's not a discussion, but if you're a software engineer, then you can decide if you want to use relational or non-relational. But if you want to get into data and algo trading, which is a part of data, you're forced to use a relational database, which is called SQL, structured query language. SQLite is just one of the easiest ones to use. There are other ones out there like MySQL and Postgres, which I personally use professionally, but just for ease of use, we're using SQLite. All right, okay, cool. So what you would import is SQLite 3 and SQL Alchemy, which you probably have to download. So let me see. I'm gonna add this to the Discord as well. I'm not sure if you have downloaded because I already have my computer stacked. Yeah, so it's a toolkit for Python to interact with SQL databases. All right, so I'm gonna add it in just in case. I'm not sure if you need to download it, but I'm gonna add it just in case. All right. And so basically what you do is to create the database, you would create an engine variable that will be equal to SQL Alchemy dot create engine. This is a module within the library of SQL Alchemy, and you would name it SQLite within quotation marks, SQLite, and then you add this syntax here, and then you give it any name .db. .db means .database. This is a file for databases, right? So I use whale.db. You can use whatever you want, all right? And from there, you would go to the actual variable for the pandas data frame. Again, since I imported it from CSV, is CDF, and you would use the pandas module to SQL, and you would give the actual table name. So in SQL, in databases, there's tables, and then there's information underneath the tables in columns. So I'm going to call it transactions. You can call it whale transactions. You can call it whatever you want. I'm calling it transactions. And then I'm actually adding in this engine here so that it knows that I want to basically push this database, this data frame, to this SQL module that we created with this engine here. So we're saying create this table and input it into this actual database here with the engine module. And I want pandas to take the data frame that I have here and add it to all of this. And that's generally what you want to do. You would run all of this. And if you have DB browser, like I told you to download, you can open up DB browser for SQLite. Oh. Sorry about that. You would go to your computer, open up DB browser. All right. Hopefully you guys downloaded that. And go to File, or you can go to Open Database. And you would search the name of the database name. So the database name, again, is the name that you provided here. So I'm going to put in whale.db. And as you can see, it is right here. And I just click it and open it. Boom. And now you can see your transaction data has been added. Just like we specified in this code here, it has been added in here. So all I would do is go to Browse Data. And as you can see, now you can see your database from the data frame that you created. There you go. And if there was specific information that you want to do, here's some SQL syntax that you can use. So select amount from transactions. Run that, and boom. So if this is SQL programming. So now if you wanted to do this, you could do this. You don't have to, but if you want to get into data, learning SQL will be helpful. So you can do things like this, like select certain tables. So you can browse the data. So like, say I want to select symbol. So I'll go back to this and switch this out and put symbol from transactions. Same thing. You can also, to select all the data in SQL, you could just put a star and put from thing, and boom, it brings you back all of the data here too. This is just basic SQL. You don't actually need to know this, but if you want to get into data, I would say learn it. If you want to see a crash course list of SQL commands, like I'm putting in here, just basically message me within the actual Discord and I'll show it to you. But that is essentially how you basically can, that's basically how you can basically get, take data from a whale alert API and put it into your own data frame. We're going to do some more interesting stuff with this. Basically, we're going to pull this data back out, and then we're going to create trading signals from it. But now we actually have it stored in a safe and secure database, which is what we can do. We can run some transactions through it. We can actually dump it back into Python. We can do a whole bunch of different things, which we're going to explore in the next video. Now, additionally, before I end this, I want to say I want to add a new section in for Forex trading. A lot of people have been hitting me up about that, and I want to explore it a little more because that one is a little more complicated, but it's actually a lot more profitable too. I'm noticing that too. So I'm probably going to add that into the Discord as well. But for right now, you guys focus on what we have now and study this up, rewatch the video, and I'll get back to you guys in the next video. So peace out and enjoy.